Alright. Where's the device? We need during the show. Okay. These sheets are bugging me. I want to know. This sheet. It's the same as the one from the workroom. Isn't it the same as the one from the workroom? Yes. Why is there also one here? Wonder why there's one here. Huh? Mr. Edgeworth? Are you deep in thought? Why does it feel like she's stealing my thoughts? Okay. Looking at this weight, you can really feel the weight of Simon's hard work on your chest. Is that so? I don't feel anything at all. That's too bad. If this was an actual weight, I'd immediately put it on your chest, Mr. Edgeworth. And I'd do everything in my power to stop you. Mr. Keyes used this well to perform the stunt where he gets blown away by the elephant. He used those 2 ropes quite skillfully. 2 ropes? In the after the show scene, I should use Little Thief's new function and change the recreation to double check. One moment. This first. A rope and pulley. That's how it should be. Rope and pulley, thief and treasure. It's a perfect match. Objection. A thief and handcuffs are a perfect match. Alright. There's only one rope. Fishy. The deuce, I guess. Is this somehow connected to any of the evidence I hold? No, because you didn't... Oh, hang on. No. Aha. 2 ropes. This recreation and the device we saw earlier. There's a major discrepancy. One of the ropes is missing. You're right. Without it, the device won't work. I wonder what happened to it. Where did the missing rope disappear to? It's possible that we hold the piece of evidence that shows where the rope went. Eh? Which piece of evidence shows where the missing rope went? Right here. The rope we found with the dead body. Ah, could it be? Yes. Could be the other piece of rope that was used here. Then, does that mean this rope was attached to the weight? However, the weight was not one of these metal weights. These weights were hidden in the grass and replaced with something else. If they were replaced, then what was used as the weight? What was tied to the rope we found in the workroom? If we can recall that, then the answer should be clear. The weight that was dropped in place of the weights that Mr. Keyes had prepared was, how about the body? Does that count as the body? Or is there something else? I'm gonna go with the body. What dropped down the well? It was none other than Knightley's dead body. Mr. Knightley's body was used as the weight? Yes, the weights were replaced with Knightley's body. Mr. Keyes used the device to launch himself off the stage. When the rope that was tied to him was undone and let go, both the body and the rope dropped down in the well. The rope wasn't used to tie up Knightley. It was used to suspend him inside the well. That also explains why the other weights were hidden. Ah, so that no one would find out that the weights were replaced with the body. Yes, the killer was the one who hid those weights. But Miles, wasn't Knightley Boy stabbed in the neck with the murder weapon? If he was suspended in the well, wouldn't there be blood at the bottom of the well? The killer was also aware of that. That's why they used this item. Which item did the killer use in order to leave no traces of blood behind? Sheet. The sheet we found near the body. It was used to wrap up the body. I see, it looks like all the pieces are starting to come together, eh? But this means that the body definitely came from the well. If that's the case, wouldn't that mean Simon is the killer? No, that's not necessarily the case. Hey, but yesterday Judge Courtney said if Mr. Keyes was the killer, would he have needed to set up such an elaborate device? I guess you have a point. Mr. Keyes was only responsible for dropping the body during the show. In other words, it doesn't matter where the real killer was or what they were doing during the show. Until now, this placed the doubt on the people who did not watch the animal show. It's true. They also suspected Mr. Dogen. The killer's true intent was to make us think that the murder occurred during the show. In other words, they used the device to unwell the well to create a fake alibi. Miss Barry, do you know when this device on the well was set up? Let me think. The day before the show. I think it was at night. We all started preparing at 9 p.m. We finished at around midnight. Killer replaced the weights with the dead body afterwards. Did Dogen know about the device? No. Even if he knew about the device, it wouldn't be possible for him to use it. You can't teach a dog to suspend a body in a well. In other words, Dogen is not the killer. Let's try some more logic. No, I don't think so. Although, let's try this. Just to be sure. Whoosh! Man, the apples in the crate were probably eaten by Astique. But it's strange. I remember leaving the crate out of reach from Astique's nose. Are you certain? Yes. The crate was still full of apples on the night before the show. Then the cart was moved to where her nose could reach it. With that many apples, it could not have been moved by the wind. Most likely, the crate was moved by a person. Prior to the show, the cart's position was already changed and the apples were all eaten. This appears to be the correct information. Please update the simulation parameters, okay? Alright, I'll use the new info to recreate the scene. First, let's return to the during the show scene. Using the info we got from Regina, I'll recreate the scene with the cart in its actual place. Recreation complete. Okay, let's look at it. No wonder I thought it smelled like animals. It contained the elephant's food. So this was filled with Astique's apples. That's right! On the day before the show, it was full of apples. And in the morning they were all gone. Oh, did you think of something? You could say that. Apparently I did. Let's see what it is. Wait, switch. On the night before the show. Night before the show. That's a connection, right? This cart was moved the night before the show. The body was also switched the night before the show. I don't think it was just a coincidence. Keeping that in mind, the question now becomes, why was the cart moved? The cart used to be in front of that door. I can think of one reason why. Somebody opened that door. Alright, let's hurry up and... The door is locked. Let's ask a guard. Hey, Mr. Guard! Yes, what is it? That was fast. You there. Where's the key to this door? The warden's in charge of it. I'll get it from her right away. The warden is in charge of the keys here. Without the warden's permission, this door can't be opened. Thank you very much. It's a circuit breaker panel. This must be the breaker room. On the night before the show, somebody came into this room. I wonder why they would come here. I don't think anyone would confuse the breaker room with the break room. It was definitely to operate the circuit breakers. So someone came here to shut off the power to something? Was there anything that had its power shut off? What could have had its power shut off by the breaker? We have it. Security footage. Timestamp is off by 3 hours. I think that's the closest thing. Yeah. The security camera footage had a 3-hour gap. Ah, I see! The circuit breaker for the security camera was tripped. It's highly possible. Was this the killer's handiwork? With the camera down, it would be easier to move about. The killer would have a major advantage. I knew it! If that's the case, the killer was the person who tripped the breaker. The person in charge of the key to the breaker room is... couldn't be. Deactivating the recreation. Oh boy. I'm first to the scene as always. Good morning, Mr. DeVest. Well, how did you get here before me? Greetings, Prosecutor Edgeworth. I see you have arrived early. Or maybe it is you who are late, Judge Courtney. I have many matters which require my attention. I have no time to waste. Unlike a certain prosecutor who has taken off the case. Grr. Oh, my apologies. I had forgotten that you were assisting the defense attorney. An assistant can never be the best. You've fallen like the rest. You just say whatever you like, don't you? Let us begin our examination of the courtyard, Sebastian. Alright. I'll call the men over. That will be unnecessary. What? We have already finished the investigation of the courtyard. You've been bested. Bested? Me? Judge Courtney. Your reasoning from yesterday. Watch me shatter it to pieces. I would advise you to choose your words more carefully. Have you forgotten that the fate of your badge rests in my hands? I have had enough of such coercion. Can't you think of some other way to threaten me that does not involve my badge? Despite my repeated warnings, you show no signs of reflection. It seems I must remind you once more. The Prosecutorial Investigation Committee can't leave someone such as yourself unchecked. Neither the fate of my badge nor the actions of the committee will impede my progress. Proving Mr. Key's innocence, that is all that concerns me. Your words are like those of a defense attorney. If you are willing to go that far, then I will show no lenience. In the name of the Goddess of Law, I shall turn your words against you. And at that moment, you will forfeit the title of prosecutor. You shall regret this. Alright. I shared my reasoning with you the day before. Since Mr. Elbert did not see the body when he passed through the tunnel, it could only have been dropped down the well during the show. The only one who could have performed such an act is the suspect. Naturally, you have evidence to support your reasoning? Of course she does! Who do you think she is? Earlier, I received the official autopsy report. Babysitting that kid must be difficult. The time of death was the night before the body was discovered. In other words, the day before the show. Cause of death remains unchanged, a stab wound 4 inches deep. Okay. Simon Keyes was not present on the stage for a period of 15 minutes. There was sufficient time for him to drop the body down the well. She has not investigated the courtyard yet. That means... seems there is a hole in your argument. You seem quite confident. Can you present evidence to support your claim? Of course I can, and I will. Alright. Pressing everything. So you continue to believe Mr. Keyes is the murderer? Just as you continue to speak as if he is not. Do you have any decisive evidence? Do you know the identity of the true criminal? You do realize you need proper evidence too. I am a representative of the Goddess of Law. My words are her holy orders. Indeed, if I state something is black, it is black. If I state something is white, it is white. So what would you call gray? If you wish to disprove my words, then present your evidence at once. Couldn't it be possible that Elbert just failed to notice the body? Mr. Assistant's assistant, did you also enter the hole? Huh? How did you know? I noticed that there was some mud stuck on your lovely hair ornament yesterday. That's amazing! Your powers of observation would even put a great thief to shame. In the name of the Goddess of Law, answer me truthfully. If there were a dead body in that tunnel, would it have escaped your notice? Well, thing is, yeah, I think I would have noticed something like that. Do you understand now? Mr. Elbert did not see the body. Okay. The body was dropped down the well during the show. I'd like to hear your reasoning for this. Pretty sure we heard that yesterday, Edgeworth. The day before the show, Mr. Elbert lent the key to Mr. Knightley. Key to Knightley's cell, huh? Mr. Knightley escaped from his cell with the key and entered the cage Mr. Keyes had prepared. Mr. Keyes then moved the cage to the courtyard and proceeded to murder Mr. Knightley. The next day, when Mr. Elbert passed through the tunnel, he did not come across the body. Please, wait a minute. That doesn't seem right at all. Wasn't there a sweet smell in the tunnel? Mr. Knightley must have passed through it. Mr. Knightley passed through the tunnel after Mr. Elbert did. Mr. Elbert passed through the tunnel at the start of the show. However, the body wasn't found until the end of the show. Which is why you believe the body was dropped during the show. Yes, and there is only one person who could have carried out this act. Okay. There's no one else who could have committed the murder? I heard that Miss Barry was present on the stage at all times. A great number of the prisoners were also watching the show. Even the prisoners who did not see it have sufficient alibis. How about the guards? Along with the warden, nearly everyone was watching the show. There must have been a chance for even one of them to approach the well. During the show, none of the guards left their posts. That much is certain. They all testified as such. Erg. She's left no room for oversight. You finally admit that only Simon Keyes could have been the criminal? Criminal. Judge Courtney has not thoroughly examined the courtyard like we have. So there's a bit of a gap in our argument, right? I should review the evidence we obtained in the courtyard. Alright. So what do we got? We've got the device, circuit breaker. I don't think that's relevant yet. I think we need to present, yeah, the device. Only have been dropped down the well during the show. It's true. The only one who could have performed such an act is the suspect. I think we present this here. Since we've shown that anyone could have set the thing up. Unfortunately for you, Judge Courtney, your argument doesn't hold any water. Just like the well. There was a device set up around the well here. What is this device of which you speak? Are you aware of the stunt in which Mr. Keys is blown away by the elephant during the show? I have heard of it. It would have been right before he exits the stage. He tied one end of a length of rope to himself, and the other end to a set of weights. He was able to perform the stunt by dropping these weights down the well. Wouldn't he have spent the whole play suspended up in the air? That's why he had a stopper attached to the weighted end. The stopper was removed by pulling on another rope. Around the well, we found evidence that the weights were switched with the victim's body. This was done by the real killer in order to shift suspicion away from them. Judging from the time of death, the murder was carried out in the early morning of the show. The true criminal had until the time the show started to set up the device. But didn't Simon Keys make that thing? And since he was also the one who used it, he is the best suspect. Don't you agree? If Mr. Keys were the murderer, he would not have needed to do that. Miss Barry. Yes? Was there anyone else who knew of the device he set up? Well, let me see. Since we had to get everything about our show approved by the people here at the prison, I'd say there were others who knew about it. And there you have it. I see. You have indeed performed a thorough investigation, which is why I am even further perplexed. Oh boy. Why do you not use your efforts for justice? My actions are not just? Who made that decision? You cannot understand even that, even now? Providing support to a defense attorney despite being a prosecutor is quite unnatural. This goes against the rules. I am merely choosing to do what I think is right at this particular time. I travel down the road I have chosen. Your comprehension does not matter in the least. However, if anyone intends to interfere, I will show no mercy. Perhaps this is a calling from the Goddess of Law. If you intend to rebel against her divine will, I will have no choice but to hand down my verdict. Pay heed to my words. I have one more reason to suspect Simon Keys of the murder. If the body came from the courtyard, how was Mr. Knightley brought here from the detention center? Only Simon Keys could have provided such an opportunity. Because of this fact, I find it most difficult to suspect any other party of this crime. While Simon Keys was moving supplies for the show, he visited Mr. Knightley's cell. Does that not strike you as odd? Why else would he have brought a large covered cage with him? Oh, that does seem pretty suspicious. Mr. Keys was merely that kind of person. It is entirely possible that he carelessly brought it there. If that is possible, it is also possible that he was assisting in the escape. Am I wrong? Suppose I must refute her theory with evidence. Okay. You seem to believe that Knightley was killed in the courtyard. So can you say when he was brought here? On the day of the show, between midnight and 8 a.m. I am positive it could only have been during that time. So after rehearsal had ended and before the show began. The most pressing issue is, how was he brought here from the detention center? Are you certain there were no other routes? The trial date had not yet been determined for Mr. Knightley. Since he was not a prisoner, he could not have easily entered the prison. He would have stood out too much. Meaning no one testified seeing him there. Well done. May you be blessed by the Goddess of Law. As I said, Mr. Knightley was taken into the prison through a less conspicuous manner. Are you certain that he was the only person who had the opportunity? Have you forgotten? This is a prison. Due to the constant supervision, it would be impossible to do anything unusual. Then wouldn't it be the same for Mr. Keyes? The warden has shown favor to the Berry Big Circus. Simon Keyes is a circus member, Miss Berry's apprentice no less. It could only have been him. He was able to move about freely within the facility. It seems that you forgot to mention that. The word forget does not exist in my dictionary. Then it should be prudent for you to add this to your argument. Mr. Keyes may have been the only person who could move around freely in the prison, but on the day of the murder, there was a gap in time missing from the surveillance records. During that time, anyone could have done as they pleased. Do I have proof of this gap in the surveillance records? Sure. There's a gap in surveillance records. Mr. Keyes wasn't the only one who had the opportunity. Who else could have had the opportunity? Timestamp on the security camera is off by 3 hours. This means there was a 3-hour gap in time. During that time, anyone could have done it. If that were the case, then the murderer would have created the gap in time intentionally. It would not have been a simple camera failure. Are you saying that is possible? Man, they are just leading me by the nose here. It's possible if you had access to the circuit breaker. In this courtyard, we found the circuit breaker for the security camera. It was possible to access the breaker room both before and after the murder. What? Unfortunately, it appears that you have fallen short of your intentions. Mr. Edgeworth hasn't fallen short of anything. So can you explain how the murderer obtained the key to the breaker room? Oh yeah, that's right. It was locked, wasn't it? Warden hangs on to the key, right? Breaker room has great importance even in a prison. There's no one who would be able to obtain the key so easily. There's one person. Well, I can think of someone. What did you say? This person, the murderer, was able to get the key. They didn't even need to steal it. There can't be anyone like that. Besides, the breaker to the electrified fence is in that room too. Only one person could have done this. I didn't want to believe it myself, but I trust that my logic is sound. The person who used the key to enter the breaker room is Patricia Rowland. Oh, her first name's Patricia. I forgot about that. All right, because she says to call her Patty. Murderer is Warden Rowland. Oh my, what an energetic little puppy. That's because this dog is extremely fond of sweets. Huh? Oh, talking about Missile, I guess? It seems to detect a sweet scent on you. Oh. Oh heavens no. I'm not even wearing perfume or anything of the sort. What the dog detects is the sweet scent of death. How poetic. However, does that not imply that I committed a murder? That's what I think. What? The warden is the murderer? Mr. Edgeworth, are you serious about your statement? Oh ho ho, how amusing. The very thought of a warden committing a murder. It sounds like something out of a mystery novel. Precisely, your reasoning is in contempt. Nothing of the sort. I did not want to believe it myself, but based on the evidence, I have no choice but to believe it. This evidence proves that Warden Rowland is the murderer. Oops. It's not the bell. Can't be the bell. So evidence proves she's the murderer. Plans No. Oh, do I have anything? Is it the sweet scent? Is that it? So I'm confused though. She has a sweet scent, but it's not perfume. She's not wearing perfume, so what is it? And if it's the scent of death, then why is it weird that the body would have that smell? I'm gonna give it a shot, I guess. Okay, good. The smell gave you away. As you can plainly see, someone has taken notice. This police dog. He tracked a sweet smell that came from the body. And right now, he is telling us that the same scent is also on Warden Roland. Hoo-hoo-hoo. You're a cruel one to accuse me of murder based on something like that. Right, Justine, darling? It appears that Judge Courtney has reached the same conclusion as I have. Mr. Edgeworth, this couldn't have been just a coincidence, could it? The key to the breaker room and the same scent on the body. If it were only one, it could have been seen as such. It appears we have reached a conclusion. We should now listen to what the warden has to say. Indeed, until we do, we cannot close this case. Oh my goodness, everyone with such scary faces! So I'm the only one who could have been the murderer? That just cannot be.